Each year, Microsoft Research hosts hundreds of influential speakers from around the world, including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.
So we're going to get going and get rolling back up. I'm Sean Dickers, and Mimi called me up, and I remember when she first said, we want to bring together people to talk about Minecraft and education. And frankly, I was like her fourth choice, I think, or something like that. I had to be, because I'm some guy out at Ohio University that has, we have grad students using Minecraft in education. I've used it for Minecraft. I'll copy Eric Klopfer and say I'm a parent of 2 Minecrafters. And I have a problem with Minecraft. I can only play for like about 5 minutes before something happens in my brain and I'm gone till like 2 a.m. And my kids know that about me and they think it's really funny. So they try to get Dad hooked on things by pitching ideas to me. They'll bring graph paper with layouts of new castles and say, what do you think of this, Dad? This is what we're doing this weekend. So if I love my kids, I'm into what my kids are into, and that's what brought me to Minecraft. This morning we focused a lot on that. The idea of what's going on with students and how do we learn with students. We talked a little bit about some of the words we're using around Minecraft. Is it a tool? Is it a toy? Is it a game? Is it a piece of paper, according to Joel Levin? Oh, did you steal that from me? Is it a pencil? Yes. So what we're going to do this afternoon for an hour and a half, I think, is going to be a delight. But we have 5 people on a panel that are looking at Minecraft through the lens of teachers and teacher training. So one aspect is what is the effect of Minecraft? How can it get used in the classroom? But this other idea is the bottleneck of teachers. At some level, Minecraft will never make its way into classrooms unless we have a competent teacher corps that understands this as one of their options for teaching and learning. And that happens in a variety of places. So we put our brains together and tried to assemble a panel of people. And I'm going to let them introduce what they do, but I'm just going to tell you their names and who they are. And then we're going to be able to ask them questions. Primarily, this isn't just a panel. They're not going to present like they did this morning. We're going to do a couple speed rounds to give you a taste of who they are and where they come from. And then we get to pick their brains for an hour and a half. So get your questions ready. Get your notepads out. Get your laptops ready to kind of think of who you want to ask and whatnot. In different order, we have Candace Mack down at the end. She's from the LA Library System, and she'll get to tell you in a few minutes about what she does. Next, we have Danelle Batty from Australia, the Department of Education, and particularly Tasmania. And we have Joel Levin, who's one of the co-founders, a former teacher, father, and a Minecraft EDU master, right? So he's created that system. Then we have Lucas Gillespie, who kind of represents both a teacher but also a tech coordinator at the district level that has spent the last few years facilitating and helping teachers to use this in their classrooms. And then last but not least, we have Sarah Esper from ThoughtStem, who you got to meet this morning because she did a lot of Q&A. She just jumped right in on all that this morning. So I'm going to ask you first as a panel, could you quickly introduce who you are and what you do when it comes to like prepping and helping teachers to use Minecraft for teaching and learning? I think we can go in the same order if you don't want to just look at each other awkwardly.
Hi everyone. So I'm Candace Mack, and I'm the Senior Librarian of Young Adult Services at Los Angeles Public Library. We have our central library in downtown LA and 72 branches throughout the city. So we have a lot of locations, and we have a lot of teen services librarians. And we recently, last year, started an initiative called Full Steam Ahead, and Minecraft is one of many workshops that our library puts on as part of that initiative throughout our libraries. And we have partner-led workshops as well as professional development workshops with our librarians, because this is all pretty new to us, and we're trying to find ways, and I'm so excited to be here, to support the awesome work that teachers are doing in their classrooms, both with and without Minecraft, and really support out-of-school learning.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm Danelle Batty, as mentioned. I teach at Riverside High School, which is in Launceston, Tasmania. It's a middle-class school, so it's certainly not a disadvantaged school by any means, so I just want to contextualise that for you. We've been playing Minecraft since 2011. We started off with Quest Atlantis, and that's my connection with Bron over there. And as a result of that, my students decided that they wanted to dig deeper into what's out there in regard to games. I had principal permission to do so because also contextualisation. Her son was at university and was playing WoW, and he was meeting people online who were supporting his learning with regard to his degree. So she could see some significant connection in community in gaming. And so essentially my students got there and they raised the question, with me having some background information that I could actually push and encourage. They led this. They chose to present to the principal and the AP their desire to have a class at our school called Minecraft. It runs as an elective, and it comes under the umbrella of our Tasmanian curriculum in technology. And in grade 6 and in grade 10, we have an ICT checklist, and a significant component of that checklist actually looks at community, as in people being community members and digital citizenship. So it really gave us a great avenue to use a game to do that with. So we had the green light all over the place from regard to that perspective. Now, the question was, how do we support other teachers? We actually have 4 primary schools who work on our server. Our server is a 24/7 server, runs all the time. We never shut it down, except for in the summer holidays for about a week or 2 when we want to have a break. And when I say that, we don't monitor with surveillance because we have plugins that work for us to give us that information that we need. Students run the server. I don't. Please don't ask me any technical questions. I have no idea. And I've deliberately done that because I don't want to interfere with their learning. I want to be their support person. I want to scaffold for them. I want to push them, and I want them to teach me. So that's the position I come from. We have, as I mentioned, a couple of schools that use our server in the primary area, so they're local schools. They come on and my students support them and listen to them. We're a community group on our server. We have a charter, we have expectations about how we operate, and we've worked that out together, and it's driven by the students. With the teachers at the primary school, they get in and they have a bit of a play around. I have that expectation that they actually are prepared to dabble and to be a partner in this with me, and that's essential for our community. Every server is different, and that's what I want to really express. A server has a culture of its own, and we've developed our own culture to fit with our own school expectations. It's 24/7, so our students play at home under that banner of that culture that we've created. So essentially that's where we're at.
Well, I'm Joel Levin, and I think my exploits as teacher and then as someone who left the classroom and sort of entered this crazy world of entrepreneurship and running a startup has been pretty well documented, so I won't go into too much detail. But the question was, what have I done to support teachers? And it started from almost the moment that what I was doing in my own classroom, just this sort of personal exploration about what this game Minecraft is and what I could do with my students and what my students could do with it. There was this moment when it went from this internal thing to just external. I have a friend who said, your blog is really interesting, can I post it on Reddit? And I said, sure, why not? And it made it on the front page within an hour. And that was a real aha moment for me that there's other people that are interested. And there was certainly a lot of interest from the gaming crowd and sort of the Minecraft community, but from that first day, all of a sudden my inbox was filled and my Twitter account was filled with teachers saying, oh my God, how can I do this? And in those first days, it was a lot of talking to people and what are we going to do? I think I called up Lucas and we had to talk very early because he had a wiki going and we're like, oh, we got to get this all together, and was setting up Google groups. But then, one thing led to another, and I had an opportunity to actually begin working with Mojang. And I was approached by my future business partner, Santeri, who's sitting right there from Finland, about, let's make a business out of this. Let's approach Mojang with this concept of making a product, suite of services, things that teachers can use. I don't think it was as poorly formulated as that. It wasn't even close to that. I mean, this is sort of, the benefit of hindsight. But we realized that, Minecraft was almost this perfect thing. in terms of its own game and how kids and gamers would approach it. But there were disconnects, there were blockers from what real live breathing teachers needed to do to get it up and running in the classroom. And it's started from how they buy the game to how do you get it approved by the technology department, and how do you get buy-in from administration, and then how do you actually get it set up, and then how do you play? What if the Minecraft update servers are down? So we went through this really rapid, fascinating process of taking all of our sort of original concepts of how this should work, throwing them all out, starting working with these teachers very early on. And I just also want to mention that some of those earliest teachers are here today. Lucas is one, Colin Gallagher is someone I talked to really early on, Marianne Malmstrom, and some other faces in the room. There were these early pioneers, and nobody really knew where this thing was going. And so, I'm honored that so many teachers out there have chosen to use the version that we've worked on. It's what's allowed them to get the game into their classroom. Whether or not they've chosen to keep using Minecraft EDU as the platform of choice, or they've gone on and used other flavors of Minecraft, we welcome all comers into that community. And, I think we all have a lot to learn from each other, which is why we're here.
My name is Lucas Gillespie. I'm a Director of Academic and Digital Learning for a rural school district in northwestern North Carolina, Surrey County Schools. And so for me, the thing with Minecraft and really kind of breaking down barriers, I've lived a charmed life, so to speak. I've been in the right place at the right time as far as barriers go, and the lack thereof. And some of my earliest work with games and learning was bringing World of Warcraft into the classroom and working with middle schoolers in World of Warcraft. And I worked with a partner teacher in my district from the district level, working with a teacher, and we built an after-school program, and then that evolved into an elective using World of Warcraft as an elective for studying language arts. And it was a fascinating journey, and so once you've done that, like anything's possible. So this Minecraft game comes along, and we keep hearing about it, and it gets on my radar. And of course, it's students that are driving this. Students are saying, "Hey, take a look at this Minecraft game," and I look at it and I laugh, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Look, can we go back and play some more Call of Duty now, or whatever?" And then they said, you really need to take a look at it. And so I tried it out, and it was immediately sucked into this quirky little amazing thing that Minecraft is. And so then I go to my colleagues at the district level, and I said, this is our next thing. This is the space we need to be in, because the possibilities are literally endless, what we can do with this, and what kids can do with this, and how teachers can leverage this for learning. And so we started there. I found my guinea pig teachers. There's always a few in a district that you can go to and say, hey, I've got this cool thing, you want to try it out, and they're willing to do anything that they trust you. And so we began using this back in 2011, using Minecraft with kids, and really for me, I think one of the key factors for getting the teachers involved was to break down those barriers and say, we're going to fail in this space, and it's okay. We could get in here and do all this work, and the server could crash, and we could lose everything. Are you cool with that? Sure. All right, let's go. And so that's kind of putting them at ease, providing support for them, and then really, I think another key factor for the success that I've experienced working with teachers in that was really pushing the teachers. You need to be in that space with the kids, playing the game alongside them, which had this really playing field leveling effect, where it gave the kids a perspective about the teacher, but also gave the teacher a perspective about the kids, which was really fascinating to watch. And so that's kind of my take now is when I work with teachers, I bring them into that space. We get in, we play together, and I set them up right at the beginning. Look, you're going to fail. You're going to laugh at each other. You're going to have to learn all this hand-eye coordination because of the mouse. You're going to be looking at your feet and running into walls, and that's okay. You're going to dig down. You're going to fall through the world, and you're like, what did I do? Oh, that's okay, too. We're going to laugh about it, but at the same time, we're going to see how this is a really powerful platform, and I want you to put your teacher lenses on and think about what it is that how could you use this? What could you do? If you could take kids into this world, what would you do with it?
Awesome. Hi everyone, I'm Sarah from ThoughtStem, and our focus is computer science education. when I went to school, K-12, there was no computer science education available to me. And I didn't know what it was until I got to college, and then absolutely fell in love with it. Decided to stay for a PhD and focus my energy on computer science education. So how can I teach or design learning experiences that teach computer science better? As part of that, I participated in one of the first NSF CS10K pilots, which is developing an AP Computer Science principles curriculum and then training teachers to be able to deliver that curriculum. The hardest part is, like, the reason why that project exists is because there aren't a lot of computer science teachers at the K-12 level. Why? Because if you are a good programmer, you're going to be going to work for Microsoft and making a lot of money, not going to be a teacher and making nothing, which is the sad truth. My mom's an elementary school teacher, and I know. So I wanted to find a way that we could support teachers who have no programming experience so that they can teach kids, K-12, computer science effectively, accessibly, low-income areas, high-income areas, what have you. And so we founded ThoughtStem originally as a tutoring company, and we were going to send, people that I trained out into schools and homes and things to teach kids computer science. And what we found was it's much easier to teach a psychologist or an education major, we were dealing with undergrads at the time, to teach computer science than it was to teach a computer science major to teach. And that, I think, is one of the biggest indications of why we're focused where we are today, at least in my specific work, which is training teachers. I want to give teachers the confidence that them knowing, and I think it was kind of talked about earlier today, adults, teachers, you know things that the kids don't know. And it doesn't matter that you don't know Minecraft, that you don't know coding, because you know how kids learn and you know how to provide that learning experience for them. And so how can I just give you enough understanding that you can provide a rich learning experience even if you're not an expert coder? And I think it was, we've talked about it a lot already, but that the first step is introducing those teachers to the world of coding, and specifically Minecraft. It's kind of clear why coding in Minecraft is an obvious win. There's a lot of other research I could talk about too, but that's besides the point. And so getting the teachers immediately into coding Minecraft, having a community of teachers coding in Minecraft, having a community of teachers developing lessons to teach kids to code in Minecraft, that's what I love to do. And I'm teaching people in person, I teach people online, I do hybrid models, and it's just like the funnest thing ever.
Well, there's more. We're going to keep picking their brains. So you all have in common that you've taken your love for Minecraft and you've gotten other teachers to take that on. You've been able to replicate. And in a nerd sense, that's really good. Like, they're self-replicating beings. And in that sense, you're very early adopters. You're really unique as a population. And a lot of you work with early adopting teachers. But the kind of the gorilla in the room is scale, is mainstream teachers walking into these worlds, right? So I want to follow up with another question. When you've worked with other educators, and I say teachers, and I really want to include here educators, librarians, museum people, right? I think we can agree that we're talking about a broad range of people that educate. What are some of the most effective methods you've seen to help people embrace the idea, get past the barriers, to embrace being a Minecraft teacher themselves? How do you self-replicate? And that question is, what are some of the most effective methods that you've seen to help people out? And I think that you have some things in common, but diverse-wise, all different contexts, you have different purposes for Minecraft, that word of purpose. Here's what we use it for. So you come from all over the map, and I just kind of want to hear, how do you pass it on? And I don't think we should do a particular order on this. Whoever's feeling inspired, just speak up. And
I'll go. What do you want to go? You can have
All
it,
right.
and I'll have that.
No. I mean, I think I was just going to make a small point, and it's probably not surprising that I will say you need to put the students first and what they've created and what their work is. But I mean that, but I want to contextualize that. I was actually talking to Alice, the person sitting next to me before, and we were sort of agreeing that kids are not always the best ambassadors to what Minecraft is and why it's good. if they're talking to somebody that is starting from scratch, right? They'll say, you know, look at this redstone thing, and then the creeper did this, and then but look, the whole thing's made out of obsidian. Don't you realize how special that is? And you know, the person walks away with less understanding. You know, they may understand that there's passion. So you know, I do think it takes not coaching, not guidance for teachers to be able to help kids be the best ambassadors that they can be. So specifically to answer your question, what I've seen work the best is when the kids can take an artifact from their experiences in Minecraft, be it in school, be it at home, wherever it is, and you know, maybe it's not the game itself. Here's a video I made, and I'm giving you a tour through this medieval castle that I've created. Here's a story I wrote based on the adventures I had last night with playing with my little brother. Teachers know how to evaluate's too strong a word, but you know, they know how to receive work and reflection that students have created, and they will recognize real authentic learning from that. So that is my answer to the question.
Okay, so I'm thinking of a couple of particular teachers when I talk to this. I had some teachers who were, this is in the primary setting, who were particularly interested in it because they'd read about stuff, they'd looked at things on the internet. They had students coming into their classroom talking about Minecraft and showing them bits and pieces that they had made. So they were keen to grab hold of that and ask more questions and gain more understanding. So those primary teachers that are on my server come from it from that perspective, and as a result of that, we coach each other along. So we have open dialogue and we talk about what do we want to achieve, and I've gone in and sat with them and talked about what I've done and what my students have taught me and how we've gone about it. And we also are really lucky because we have a lady called Jo Kay who works with us, and so she broadens the conversation out for us. And she's someone who has a computing background. She does a lot of work in Second Life and OpenSim and those sorts of spaces, and she runs a server herself. And so we have a lot of support there for those teachers, and it's answering their questions when they have questions. So it's at the moment that they need it, and we have a Skype group open with that they're involved in, and so it's constantly ongoing. So it's not something that happens right now and then we stop and move on. It's something that's continuous and when it's needed. In the high school setting, I did encounter some teachers who were a little bit negative and a little bit, oh, I don't know about this, it's just playing games. And that was a different approach. So I think the one thing that's really important is to understand the people that you're working with and where they're coming from and what drives them. And so I guess I was really lucky to have a class of students who were designing their own learning program, and I was working with a colleague in regard to that, and some of the students chose to use Minecraft as a way of representing their learning. One particular young man who has dyspraxia, obviously writing was not something he could do effectively and to communicate his story, but he was a fabulous person when it came to talking about his understandings, and he was also an incredible builder in Minecraft. So he investigated his family research, his family history, and he researched that, and he presented that in the Minecraft space. And when it came to presenting his learning in front of his parents and his friends and other people, he did that in that world. And there was a teacher there who saw that and was able to ask further questions and got to play also with that student. And so it grew from there. I've taken leave from my job in Australia for a year, and as a result of that, there's another teacher in my school who's taken over the subject, which has proven to be exceptionally interesting, because sometimes when someone's put in a spot to take over a class, it's like, oh my goodness, is this going to work? This person is a very strong-willed person, and she's also someone who loves to be in control. That is her thing, and she names that up. And so for her, it was a really interesting path, and I think everyone's path is somewhat different. So she came in and I left her with resources. I sat down and talked with her about what was going on. I've been on the server and talked to her throughout the whole time I've been here, so which has meant very late nights, early mornings for me to keep in with time zones. In that first half of the year, I was actually really, really worried that this was going to go pear-shaped and wouldn't work. Because at one time, the skirt went up over the head because it was just too hard, because the learning curve can be like this sometimes for some people. And I think it's about providing support and understanding and identifying when you've struggled. So that's sort of what I did with her. And I also had the support of Jo, who jumped in there as well at pointy moments, which was really great. To the point where, oops, and I'll get a bit teary about this. So I might get Joel to read this out, because I don't think I can. That's,
You want me to
I want you to read it out, because
Okay.
I can't read that. It's that there.
Okay. Should I say who it's from?
Yep.
So Ms. Rand writes, I agree with Nat. It has been awesome for me to see students learning together and for me to learn from them as well. The collaboration in the classroom is something I have never experienced in any other context. And you responded, yep, it's pretty amazing.
So here I had a teacher who went from needing control and from a pedagogical perspective that certainly was different to mine, to a point where now she's actually seeing huge opportunity and possibility and stuff that she's never seen before in any other classroom. She has about 12 years experience behind her in teaching. So she's not a young teacher. She's not in her first 5 years of teaching. She's someone who has experience, and that move is incredible. And I guess that's the thing I want to point out, is that everyone moves at different times and spaces, and how we use this and how we incorporate it needs to fit with us and with our own learning journey. And sometimes it's on a curve, like there is no curve, it's straight up, and it's really scary. Let's go next.
So, how many people are programmers in the room or know any kind of coding? So not too many. Well, it's about half and half, actually. So I think maybe my job is easier because I'm not only trying to convince these teachers to use Minecraft, but I'm also trying to convince them that they should become computer science teachers. The reason I say that that's easier is because they're already terrified of being a computer science teacher. So the Minecraft thing is not even the biggest issue. The biggest issue is that all of a sudden they're going to have to teach a subject that isn't recognized by their district, isn't recognized by their state. They don't even know if they're qualified to teach because according to different districts, you have to have different kinds of qualifications to do it. And a subject that those people who raise their hand will know, you can't know everything about programming. You have to be comfortable with not knowing everything. And the point, when you're learning how to find out information, either through, doing searches and wikis, or just through debugging and testing things and seeing what happens. And what's really great is that Minecraft provides this really perfect kind of piece of paper to test the coding out on, right? Because in Minecraft you can build, you can tear it apart. If you're in creative, you can have infinite resources. You can just play around. That's the nature of the game, and that is truly the nature of programming. Programming, in my opinion, should be taught more like an art. It's a place where you get your blank piece of paper, your open Minecraft world. You try something, you see what happens. If it didn't work, no problem. The world didn't blow up. You just try again. Maybe you do have to restart your server or something, but hey. So I think, I don't replicate me, first of all.
I'm getting the sense the way you replicate is just raw enthusiasm.
Yes, so I do. And that's why I say don't be too afraid of MOOCs, because when I do a MOOC, I'm like everywhere. No, I don't replicate me. We've all kind of said it. Teachers are really great at teaching. They have a lot of experience. What I try to do is make them have the confidence, the support, whether it be technical support in this kind of software that we develop, or just kind of support in me making a really excited video, and just learning how to be okay with things being messy. And I think if I can get my teachers to be okay with not knowing the answer, because it's impossible to know every answer to every question your kid is going to ask in a computer science course, be okay with not knowing the answer, then they will take what they know as a teacher and make their class succeed. So my goal is basically not to replicate me, but to replicate the feeling of being okay to be out of control, which I think everyone is kind of saying the same thing, but.
For the term like failing forward.
Yeah,
And just that
exactly.
mentality. And Danelle's talking about appreciate learning styles and
Yep.
developmental aspects of things.
Yeah, and you know, every single teacher within a school, within a district, within a state, within a country has different barriers blocking them, whether it be their teaching style, their students, you know, the type of students that they have, the type of physical hardware equipment that they have, the type of learning spaces that they have, the type of Wi-Fi that they have, the types of blocks on the Wi-Fi that they have. I mean, everyone has one. So I can't just tell a teacher to teach like me. I have to tell a teacher to teach like them, but be okay with teaching messily.
Lucas or Candace?
Well, I was just going to say that's really reassuring to hear because actually our library system, we just had our first Minecraft professional development workshop in the fall. So that's where all of our librarians are at right now. We fortunately, they're self-selecting. You know, it's not something that we're implementing necessarily at all of our branches yet. So at the professional development workshop that they went to in the fall, you know, they just played in Minecraft, which is great. But then when I did a poll, because I said I'm coming to the summit and, you know, I'm speaking on this panel, even though we're all noobs, like what, you know, kind of what was the feeling that they got, or, you know, have they implemented the program yet, or, you know, what, and they all said they loved, you know, interacting in the environment, but that they hadn't implemented it yet because they weren't sure how. You know, there wasn't, not that there necessarily has to be a curriculum, but in part of what we're trying to do with our out-of-school time programs and workshops are to have some kind of secret, you know, crafty, like, learning outcomes that maybe are not so obvious to the students, you know, or to the kids and teens involved, but we'd like to have something. And so it's great. So I'm going to be talking to you a lot later about your MOOCs and whatnot. So I just wanted to sort of throw that out there, that I'm one of those noobs for sure.
I think for me, one of the things that's helped me successfully replicate this in the district that I work is being willing to give my time with the teacher. And so I offer, my standing offer to the teachers that are kind of interested but are unsure is like, look, I'll come in and handle your first day for you, your second day even if you need it, but usually that first day is enough to sell them. And so I get an opportunity to model in action the kind of thing, the way that if it were my class all the time, this is how I would handle things. And that generally puts them at ease, I find, and they're like, oh, I can do this. If that guy can do it, I can do it. You know, and so that's one piece of it. At the same time, and it kind of address, I might be getting a little sidetracked here, but one of the things that I address through this too is, and again, it's a modeling thing, is I work with the kids, and I go to the kids and I tell them, now guys, you understand that what you're doing is pretty special. I mean, not a lot of kids get to play Minecraft in school, right? I mean, this is pretty amazing. And I said, so what we need you guys to be are the ambassadors, not so much for like the Obsidian and all that kind of stuff. And I said, because I know you guys are excited about that kind of thing, but what I need you to be able to do, your principal's going to walk in the door here at some point, and that door's going to be open. And I want you to be able, every one of you, to be able to say, this is what I'm learning, and here's how I'm learning. Let me show you what I'm learning and how I'm showing, and what I'm doing in Minecraft and how that relates to what I'm learning. Get the kids to sell it. The level of engagement, enthusiasm, and I invite other teachers in the school in as well. We always have an open door. Come in and see. And kids, you're the people who sell this. If you want to replicate this, you want to keep doing this, do this in your other classes, want kids around the world to be doing this, you have to be the people who sell it. And that has worked well in every instance where I've done that, because the principal comes in and they're like, oh my gosh, the level, and it's noisy, but it's noisy on task. And they're excited about it, and the principal says, this is amazing, what is going on? And they can tell me about what's going on here. I'm like, yeah, I know. They're awesome, aren't they? I didn't tell them that I front-loaded them, but, you know. But that's all right. I taught them.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll just jump in there and add to what Lucas is saying there. That's one of the things that we saw as really important, was to talk about the learning process with our students. So everything that we did in our Minecraft class, we sat down and we talked about what are we learning from this, what are we gaining out of this, what are the decisions that we're making, because of the simple fact that the students were running the server, it's theirs, and they were making decisions about what was happening to the whole community. We had to sit and talk about what happens if we put this plug-in in. If we choose to go PvP, what will happen? And so there was lots of discussions about that. So our students were well versed in being able to discuss the choices that we were making and why we were making them, and what benefit that was providing everyone on our server. And that was crucial in regard to them being strong, self-determined learners as well.
We'll open it up to the audience here in a sec, but Danelle, one more question for you. And if you don't ask questions, by the way, I will, so we'll get into that. Danelle, I've heard you talk about how important it is to have students being part of that learning curve for teachers, and part of how that's, and all of you are nodding your heads. Could you talk about that just a little bit? How did teachers help to train, or students help to train their teachers?
Lots of conversations go on. So teachers are naturally inquisitive, so they do actually ask, even if they aren't really sure about what's happening there. The other thing is that, you know, students want to show teachers. So if they get the opportunity, they will. The library was a pretty important aspect of that for us when we first started up, because the students would go in there and play Minecraft at lunchtime. It was the only other place they could do it. And the librarian was really open to letting them do that, and as a result there was a little bit more awareness being built. So it was a trickling thing, but those students led those conversations. It certainly wasn't me, simply because I felt that they were the ones that were going to tell their story, because it is their story, it's not mine to tell.
So you're going to help me run around too. So we're going to open it up. Ron, you're ready to go.
My question's not for them, it's to you. And you said, how do we get these people to become Minecraft teachers? And I want to challenge that concept, because we're not a cult. What we want is to have teachers who understand and want to leverage the capacity of Minecraft for quality learning. And to become Minecraft teachers, I think, places it in a tool capacity. It's like becoming a Google teacher, or becoming Adobe teacher. Yeah, and I kind of think that's a little wrong-headed, because the pedagogy needs to come before the tool. And so I wouldn't like to be labelled a Minecraft teacher. And does anyone else feel uncomfortable with that term?
Sorry. Well, I picked it. I didn't know there were any other ones. I picked it. And can I get off the record, the reason I don't have the E at the end of Minecraft teacher is because Twitter has character limits there. I've been waiting to get that off my chest for 4 years, but no. But I, you know, can I? Oh wait, no, you know, that was directed at you.
I agree with her pushback. I think that's a really valid pushback. Yeah. But this is for the panel, so go ahead, Jill.
Anyone else feel uncomfortable with that?
I do, definitely, because I guess my thoughts are that not every teacher is going to use the same tool at all in their classroom. So why should every teacher be expected to use Minecraft? And why should I be called the Minecraft teacher? Sorry,
yeah,
no offence.
I'll change my handle right now if that's what you want. So
you can be the Minecraft teacher. You know, I see where my place is in this, and it's about empowering learning. It's about putting students in a position where they're in control and they have choice, and they actually are able to develop their own focus for learning and discovery, and to be successful in that process, and to understand what learning is all about, and the fact that it is a lifelong journey and it doesn't stop. So I don't see myself as the Minecraft teacher. The only reason why our class is called Minecraft is because that's just what happened on the timetable, and we didn't really have anything else to put there, so it just went in and that's where it stayed. You know, we do sometimes bring in other games, and we certainly talk about other issues, because we are more about community in that class rather than the game, to be totally honest.
I don't mind it from the student's perspective, and the fact that I'm not a classroom teacher in that school, because when I walk in there, oh, there's the Minecraft guy. It's not like instantly like had this like huddle of kids around me, which I love that. But I agree. I think the pedagogy does come first, and I think as from an issue of selling this to the folks that I work with, I don't want it to be that I'm a Minecraft teacher, but rather that this is a tool or I don't know if that's good now, but you know, that this is a platform or a system that we can use to really inspire kids to learn in new, exciting ways.
I think of Danelle's story where she took someone that had a particular way of thinking about their teaching. And tools are something we are in conversation with, right? There's the tool, the game, the artifact that we're using, there's a conversation that we have with that artifact. Even when we use a ruler, that ruler's been designed in a particular way, and I think of Michael Hutchinson's work, right? Where the tools that we use, the resources that we use in the classroom actually affect how that classroom is going to play out at some level. And there are transformative stories, but clearly respecting the teacher that may or may not want to use this resource versus that resource. I mean, there's room for that. But sharing a resource that we love, that we're endeared to, and helping other people find that same passion for that, and even develop their own unique twist on it, there's an art to that. It's called teaching. And we're teaching other adult learners how to do that, which is kind of an interesting thing. Other questions?
Well, can I just bookend that?
Yeah.
I gotta say, so you know, I believe that labels are important. I believe that the vocabulary about how us humans talk about things influences our thinking. I mean, especially in a day where, you know, 140 little characters can be life-changing. I have experienced that, and, you know, when Notch tweeted, "Hey, I want to sell my company," like that, you know, that changed my life. But, you know, when I, you know, chose the name Minecraft Teacher, and I named my blog Minecraft Teacher, and I named the Google group, you know, the Minecraft Teachers Google group. That's not apostrophe S, it's plural S, right? I didn't want it to be a label. I wanted it to be like a banner or a beacon, right? You know, if you're doing this. And, you know, I think this is really interesting and really relevant that, you know, things have progressed, things have grown such that, you know, we must be mindful about how we talk about what we're doing, what we wish for the future. You know, I've talked to a lot of people in this room the past couple days, you know, who have sort of this great idea about what they can do in their practice and what they can give to other educators and players about what they can do. And, you know, it's easy to get caught up in this one thing or that one thing and lose sight of the movement and how what we are all doing is pushing education in a different direction, and I feel better direction.
Something will come up from Yes.
It will.
That's right. What's the next thing? That's actually, I'll talk to that. That's one of the things that my students are very aware of, is that what will come after Minecraft, what will the next thing be, and hence they look out for that. They're asking that question, and I think that if we ourselves don't have that in our mind, then we're blind to moving forward and beyond the space that we're currently in. So I think that's a really healthy thing to be aware of, is that we can't assume that it's going to be here forever. We can't assume that it's going to have the same, I suppose, pull that it has at the moment. But what we can assume is that people want to learn and they want to delve into online spaces, and they want community and they want to play. They want to actually play and learn and tinker and create and to explore.
I have another question over here.
So we're, most of us, talking about Minecraft being an elective. So, and we know that when computer science classes are an elective, they're seriously underattended by girls. So in your experience, how do you attract girls into your Minecraft environment? And especially slightly older girls, like 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
I suppose I'll talk to that. The students that I teach are actually in grades 7, 8, 9 and 10. We have a lunchtime program that runs for the grade 7 students, and we have mentors in grade 8, 9 and 10 who come along and work with those students. And the grade 8s self-select, as do the 9s and 10s, because it's an elective. So we do not actively go out and encourage a particular gender to join the elective. That's not what we are there for. We want students to choose to be in that class because they want to be in that class. As the interesting thing about that is that things go up and down in waves. So our first couple of years have been quite heavy in the male gender. Well, this year's totally different. Our grade 8 class has got really top-notch girls in there who will be our leaders next year and the year after. So it's a cycle thing for us. It's not something we actively seek out to create a gender balance because it's an elective. These children choose to be in that class. Sometimes we have 4 girls in there, we might have 2 girls in there, other times we might have 15 girls out of 25, 26. So it really is something that fluctuates. It's not something that I deliberately seek out a gender balancing.
So we all know with Minecraft servers that, well, it's always nice to kind of think of, oh, we're going to make learning. There's always the administrative things that come up. I think we all know what I'm talking about. So how did you deal with these issues, and how did you maybe find a balance between being with the students but also being the administrator on the server?
Okay, yeah. So I will try to very quickly answer that in 2 phases. You know, looking back as my practice as a teacher and what I did, you know, I started teaching even before there was a bucket. There were these sort of proto servers floating around out there. And I was very caught up with, because I know how people play games online. You know, I was very worried, not that the interactions between kids and griefing would be a bad thing, like, you know, a detractor of the experience, quite the opposite. I mean, I wanted to confront those issues, but I was worried that too much without any control would be a distraction, and, you know, the whole process would just run away with itself. So, you know, I started looking for mods, and, you know, I very quickly realized that I was overthinking it, right? You have to get messy. It's different if you are facilitating a Minecraft server for one group of kids in one room than it is if you're facilitating an online space where there's probably not moderation and tools. So you have to choose what you do differently. But then, so that was kind of phase 1. Phase 2, you know, as we were designing this version of the game called Minecraft EDU, we spent a tremendous amount of time talking about, well, what features do we need to put in there? What features do we want to put in there to allow teachers to control the experience? And where we sort of landed was, we want to give the teacher absolute control if they need it, but in how we present the game, how we talk about the game, how we do teacher professional development, you know, we encourage people not to use the nuclear option, right? You know, one of the first features we put in the game was the ability to freeze the students in place with one button. That is maybe the nuclear option. But, you know, so many times I had the experience where, you know, the kids are having such a great time, we're learning so much from the game, we're gaining so much from the game, and then, you know, the bell rings and the kids have to leave, and these, you know, these 2 kids just won't stop playing, right? And then, you know, it's a couple times it's turned into a disciplinary situation just because they wouldn't listen. So, you know, now, but yes, one button, you can freeze the game. Kids, oh well, guess you can't play, you have to leave. But I don't think I have ever encouraged a teacher to go that route unless it was absolutely necessary. You want to engage with the kids with, you know, why did you do this behavior? What was the impact that it had on your in-game community? Did the thing that you did leave the server and affect a real person out there in the world, be it a stranger, be it a classmate? And that is the meat of the experience for me. That's where I found the most value out of it. But this, I mean, you absolutely hit on a touchy issue that I think a lot of us have very spirited debate over what the right thing to do. And I think the answer is there is no right thing, and it's going to be different in different situations.
So that original question about how do you talk to administrators about something like Minecraft, are there other ideas in the audience, those of you that have dealt with administrators, that might want to share a story about how you work with your administration and communicate this to them? Marianne? And then we'll get back to Eric.
Again, for us, the entry point was about creating spaces in classes to practice what Braun-Stuckey calls the LIVE curriculum, to practice citizenship and safety online. You can't teach that, you have to live it. And so that was our entry point for a lot of these platforms. And I'll tell you, administration are on board with that, and parents are on board with that, and teachers, so it was a win all around.
I have a question based on Lucas's earlier comment about preparing the students to be able to answer the question why they think it's important or what value they're getting out of their Minecraft experience. And I'd really welcome every member of the panel to respond. My question is, if Microsoft were to organize a research agenda around Minecraft, what 1 or 2 research questions would you like us to consider pursuing, if any?
That's a hard question. I think definitely focusing on regardless, I think a focus on the teachers and so how to support the teachers, removing barriers to entry, those kinds of things are the things that I would like to see, like what's working, what works there, and bringing a variety of options to the table. That would be my first thing is in my situation, I rarely, and I think Steve alluded to this earlier too, I really don't typically have a hard time selling it to teachers, especially once they see the engagement and see the kids in action. I don't have a hard time selling it to parents. I definitely don't have a hard time selling it to students. It's administration that is generally the challenging part, just because they're closer to sometimes they're closer to their head being on the chopping block when decisions are made and whether it's spending money or policy or whatever. And so sometimes they feel a little more pressure about that. And
so what sort of data might make that an easier argument for them to swallow?
I'm not going to say the thing that would make it. There's one word out there that I could throw out there, the standardized testing data, but I'm not going to say that. Because that's the language of their world right now, and we definitely that's a scary proposition. I'll defer that question to you guys.
I'm sorry. Were you? Yeah.
Oh.
No, you were going to speak first.
Oh well, although it's kind of funny because we were speaking at lunch, so he probably knows what my answer is already, which is I would be interested to see what the out-of-school Minecraft work, at libraries, at home, how that affects the in-school Minecraft work, the benefit of that, and how those could work in tandem the best, just from a library perspective.
I have one. I think one of the things we often do in education is we get this perspective of the educator, their view of what's going on in their classroom. So I guess one of the things that I would love to know is, what do students actually see themselves learning through playing Minecraft? I think their voice is imperative in this situation. We need to listen to it because, games, the concept of game is the fact that it's a game. We need to be, I suppose, we need to give it the respect that it deserves, and we also need to give students the respect they deserve and their voice.
No, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, maybe this is flipping it around, but I want to know why Minecraft fails in some classrooms. We hear a lot of people that had these amazing experiences, they had successes, people are researching why it works and why it doesn't, but it doesn't always work. I mean, there are some classrooms that try it once and never again. I want to know what those factors are. Is it the design of the lesson? Is it the attitudes of the people involved? Why doesn't Minecraft always work? We all spend a lot of time talking about just how amazing it is. It's transforming education, but not in all cases. So why?
And coming from more of a learning perspective, I did a little bit of research on this, but embodied learning, so when you're in this 3D environment where you are playing an avatar and you get to walk around, and especially considering that I'm trying to teach computer science, which is a very abstract concept, having this not only visual representation of the code that you're writing, but one that you can actually experience, versus something like Scratch, which I think starts to get at that, but it's a 2D experience. So, or like Alice, which is 3D experience, but you're not experiencing it, you're just watching it happen. So the differences between watching something happen 2D, 3D, and then like actually experiencing it happening, I think that there is definitely something to be said for that level of engagement with the material that you're trying to teach or learn.
So I'll pick up on that computer science aspect. So the day may come where we have more ubiquitous computer science classes in a lot of schools, and I think there's a place for that. I think there's an even greater potential to see more computer science integrated into lots of other kinds of classes.
Yep.
And it's possible that Minecraft could help that, but it seems like it may be a double-edged sword. What do you see sort of as the pros and cons of using Minecraft as a programming platform to sort of, in the context of other classes, science classes, humanities classes, et cetera? And specifically, we've sort of used the words coding, programming, computer science somewhat interchangeably in the conversation today, specifically thinking more on the computer science end or even computational thinking end. How do you sort of think that Minecraft can play a role in that ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, there are some situations where it's pretty obvious to me, like you take math, for example, you're trying to teach people about like area or things like that, and you can actually write that out in code, you can write that out in a mathematical equation, and you can watch it actually happening in Minecraft. There's plenty of research to show that having a visual representation of code helps you understand the concepts better, and if the concepts that you're trying to teach through code are concepts that are represented in other fields like math, then that kind of correlates. I think even things like science, so I've done a lot of computer science education where we teach people about like the spreading of diseases, where they have to write the code that simulates how this disease might spread, or things like that. There's also a lot of just research in general on like, anyways, what's cool about it is I think that there's a few levels. There's designing a Minecraft experience for a specific subject outside of coding, or maybe inside of coding, whatever. There's writing the code to represent that other field inside of Minecraft. And then there's kind of like somewhere in between where, you know, you could be teaching the kids a completely different, so like if maybe you want them to simulate a historical event happening, you can have them actually write the code to make that simulation happen and have people actually experience it as like, you know, a mod that, you know, you could write and learn to mod. And we do this kind of stuff, and it's fun and exciting, and I think it engages the kids more in the topic that they're trying to learn, because they could, you know, you could change one variable. Oh, what if that one ruler decided to do this instead of that? What kind of changes would happen? And you can start simulating that. So I think in terms of like, I don't think I'm being super clear, but like computer science is basically this tool, I think, that you can represent a lot of things. You can represent something very clear and mathematical all the way to something where, you know, you have a million variables and you want to see all the different iterations of them. And I think computer science as a tool can be used to teach a lot of other fields, but specifically for all the reasons why I like using Minecraft to teach computer science, having it in Minecraft is just one step further. Again, the embodiment, the 3D, the actual interaction, the visual representation, that kind of stuff. I don't know if that answers it, but.
Yeah, I guess, so you talked about all these different layers, and in some ways those layers could be distractions or they could be assets.
Yep.
It's a question of which ways you use to leverage them to be assets instead of distractions.
And again, I would probably defer to the individual teacher at an individual school with an individual group of students, because it depends. Have these students been experiencing some kind of level of coding education since second grade? Well, then by the time they get to 8th grade, they definitely should be able to actually write all the code to be able to simulate something like a virus spreading. Or have they just been introduced to it in 6th grade? Okay, well then maybe that extra layer of coding isn't that useful, but let's say the teacher knows how to write the code to write that mod, then hey, that's even better, right? Then the teacher can just at least simulate that and have them just experience it. But I think coming like specifically on this panel talking about teachers and things like that, I think that's the point. We don't need necessarily Minecraft teachers. We don't need necessarily teachers to be expert programmers. What we need is teachers to be aware of the what Minecraft can bring and what coding can bring to a classroom, and how together they can bring something really special. And you as a teacher can decide what that exact thing is, with the right kinds of support and community, of course.
I mean, I also think it's important to bring in the lens of why people code. You know, why is this something that we all feel strongly about, that it's a skill kids need to expose to? Why is it that so many modders out there are making tens of thousands of mods for Minecraft? And I think one of the answers is, you know, people code around the things that they're passionate about. People code to solve problems that are in their way. Coding is an act of creation. Gosh darn it, I want to be able to fly on a magical bunny in Minecraft. And with the power of code, I can make that happen. So when you look at a lot of the different learning tools that are out there to teach coding, I personally feel there's a deficiency. A lot of the times, it's very limiting. You're on a pathway. I don't want to single out any one product, but you're using the tools in order to be able to make a great example of what the tool can do. And there's something a little unnatural there. And kids, for some kids it works. It starts them on a path to coding. It opens up their mind to computational thinking. But my own daughter, it pains me. This is heartbreaking to me. She's like, I've showed her all these different things. She's done all these various hour of code things. And she's just like, God, Dad, not again. Coding is so boring, right? But, so here's another opportunity where a game like Minecraft really has the potential to shake it all up and make it different. Maybe this is a slight plug in there. You look at mods that exist like Computercraft, that it's not taking the coding outside of the game and making mods, but it's putting the act of coding, these acts of creation, inside this creative game that's Minecraft, to be able to program your little robot turtle to go do your digging and building for you, so that you can do the thing that programmers do, taking boring repetitive tasks and automating them. You can do that inside Minecraft. Now, I don't want this to be interpreted as a slight on any other approach. I mean, I've looked at ThoughtStem and I think it's fantastic. I've looked at the touch developed stuff that Microsoft's looking at, and I think there's a great potential. But I think all of these tools need to be used in consort. Right? There is a trajectory. We spent a lot of time talking about what that trajectory is, when do you introduce what tool, but there's a trajectory from starting inside the game world to be able to use computational thinking, to take a big complex problem and break it into smaller steps and conditionally branch out inside the game, to then modifying the game world itself using tools that are outside the game, to eventually making your own games. And there's a lot of different tools. And I cringe when I talk to computer science teachers that say, well, I found this one tool and this is it, we're doing 8 weeks on this. And we can do better.
Yeah, just to quickly follow up, one thing, just really quick. I wrote this paper, Computing is the Fourth R, which I think sums that up. I think basically we have reading, writing, arithmetic, and computing, and it's meant to just be a tool. Like, computer science itself is meant to be a tool, just like reading is meant to be a tool, and all the actual tools around it, LearnedMod included, these are just one way to get into it. And I think exactly what you just said, we need to start thinking about computer science not just as, oh, well, I'm using Scratch, so therefore I'm teaching computer science. It's much more than that.
Or a comment. So I was really interested in the earlier discussion about whether people identified with, as Minecraft educator, and I'll own some of the responsibility because that's what we call the summit too. Just I was thinking, oh, that's what we call the summit, educator summit. But it's really interesting to me because like my research area is understanding affinity groups, right? And what people identify with are these your people. And I've been sort of like as an anthropologist listening to the discourse in the room, and it's like Minecraft educator, is it a thing? I mean, that's a really interesting question. And as I reflect on it, it's like people. Only certain, subsets of people identify with the platform. And a game is a little bit different. Like games do have affinities attached to it. But when you're looking at Minecraft as a tool to achieve other things, like Vu's standing up and saying, well, at the core, Minecraft is a game. I mean, that's an affinity statement, right? Like that's about what Alex was talking about. It's like being an internet kid and into Minecraft, that is an affinity statement. But then there's, like, to be really blunt, there's a lot of distance between that and bringing Minecraft into the classroom to achieve subject level learning goals. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying there's, like, we've been all very nice to each other, but let's put on the table, there's a really wide range of pedagogical and learning philosophies that are around this room, which I think underlies this issue of, am I a Minecraft educator? Minecraft does not define my educational approach. Like we have like Rico Rose and Andreas who identify with creative learning and constructionism. We have, Katie coming from, a progressive approach around Project Zero, and there's really an interesting range of approaches. And I have my connected learning banner that I'll wave around, which is a very specific approach. And I think it's really important to lay those differences out on the table while also recognizing that it's kind of awesome that Minecraft has brought this diverse range of educators together too. So there's just this interesting underlying tension that I wanted to call out. And like I appreciated Vu standing up and saying, well, it is a game. Like we're gamers, we're internet people. Like the world that Alex described is where we come from. Well, at the same time, like having these, like when I have that with connected learning all the time, it's like, my home base is what kids do in the wilds of the internet, but I'm always trying to nudge them into adult world, but in ways that don't totally corrupt the passion and energy that they're bringing to their out of school space. So I'm sort of curious just to, there's such a broad range of expertise around the room too in terms of experiences, and I'm just sort of curious, like I'd love to invite people to talk not only about Minecraft as something that kind of unites us, but what are the critical differences and schisms in the community? Do you see it as a community, or is it like just a kind of interesting cross section of a tool that you, or a affordance that you come in and out of, but today it's Scratch, tomorrow it's Minecraft. Like I'm really curious to hear from, and I'll invite the panelists or anybody in the room to.
I was just reflecting on what you said and what Minecraft is and why it's so open. And, if I was an early childhood teacher and there would be millions of them who use sand pits or sandboxes, and they wouldn't call themselves a sandbox teacher, would they? But it's a tool in their repertoire for teaching. And Microsoft is monumental because it's probably the first readily accessible one that came to school. There are many people in this room that I know that have worked through Second Life and many other environments. Were already working in virtual social spaces. But Minecraft made it much more accessible and easier to do. So I think I don't see myself, Minecraft is part of my armory, but I don't see myself as a Minecraft teacher, and I think that's a dangerous space to label yourself.
I was actually going to make a very similar comment that I actually do resonate with the label Minecraft teacher. Not because, how can I explain this? I don't feel that that is a badge that defines me as a person, but it does describe something I do. I am a teacher and I use Minecraft. That's it. I don't see that as anything else other than that. And there is quite a division, since you're asking about divisions in the community, there is quite a division in the community that I think Bron is alluding to when she's saying what she's saying, in that there is a big split between people who allow students to create their own learning experiences, which is what we've talked a lot about today, and then there are people who create the learning experience within the virtual world for the students, which is something I do, which I think is why I probably resonate with the badge Minecraft teacher. So I actually had another question, but I want to keep continuing with this conversation.
So you say you use Minecraft. You probably also use PowerPoint or other things. Why wouldn't you call yourself a PowerPoint teacher? I'm just...
Yeah, I don't use PowerPoint. I'll put it out there. I do not use PowerPoint. It's the reason I find Minecraft so powerful in my classroom is because it provides an extremely high level of engagement for the students I work with. I use it in the way I use it because it works for me, it works for my students. What I do might not work for everyone else, but people use PowerPoint in very interesting ways. I've heard of other fantastic people in the past who have done amazing things and amazing teaching sequences in PowerPoint. I wouldn't have a problem labelling them as a teacher that uses PowerPoint. I'm a teacher that uses Minecraft.
Go ahead.
So I would like to jump into the schism conversation a little bit, because I see myself as someone who kind of sits in that middle space. And that's partly due to my role at the district level. And one of the things that I have two approaches to helping teachers use Minecraft in my district. And one is, and helping students use Minecraft in my district. One is by providing a 24/7 accessible server. That's right, we're running Bucket on that server, and the students are largely in charge of that. Now I will take, I will sort of seed that community with things that I think have sort of pedagogical value maybe. For example, I'll create challenges for them and require that they report out about their challenges and things like that. If they want to, it's voluntary. They can participate in that as a community event if they want to. And I kind of, for lack of better words, gamify that experience for them, because as they progress through that and contribute and pour back into the community, they can also progress up this sort of social hierarchy that exists on the server. So that's one approach, and that's more of the following the learning style. But at the same time, I have teachers who have to, they have to put food on the table and they have to pay a mortgage, and ultimately they are held to the fire by standardized testing results and things like that, and there's a big need, or they feel a big need to be able to attach what's going on and justify their use of Minecraft by attaching it to the purposes of learning, the things that they feel like they have to show, whether if an administrator walks in or a superintendent or whomever walks in, to say that, yes, here's my lesson plan, let me show you which standards I'm addressing, et cetera, et cetera. They feel that need, and I understand that too. And I think Minecraft, that's the beauty of Minecraft, is that it's so flexible that it works in both scenarios very nicely. And I'll, kind of along the lines of what Steve was saying and what some other folks have said here too, even if I'm structuring the learning in that space, even pre-building things, I think that's more valuable than me lecturing to a student. For example, I was a former high school biology teacher. Students are only going to get so excited about endoplasmic reticulum. Mitochondria, big deal, unless they're really into molecular science, which I've never found a high schooler who's really that into it. But if I can create an environment that helps to contextualize that in some sort of experience, even if I'm building it in Minecraft, and I take them into that and have that shared experience, I feel that as an educator, that's way more powerful for them than me giving them a worksheet on the same topic. And so when I work with teachers on this, I tell them that either way is a perfectly valid way to approach things. And you work with whatever's comfortable for you, and let me help you do that. And that has kind of helped with the success of getting it out in the district. I provide that free open space for the students to learn. That's one way. But also structured sorts of uses of Minecraft have been very valuable as well. So I kind of fit in somewhere in that middle ground.
Lucas, I'm hearing both you and Stephen kind of said this idea of that there's a validity to teacher production. Mm-hmm. And I think the other side of that spectrum is this emphasis on student production, But I think we're in the same affinity group when we say that Minecraft is a space where you can produce.
Yeah.
And some of the question is, who's going to be the primary agent of activity there, the student or the teacher? And there's a whole range of degrees to which, we can have that shift happening. So, even Joel mentioned even having the teacher make something at home and show a screenshot of it. Where the actual game hasn't even come into the classroom, but it's this space of production, which is a really interesting kind of thing. So, there's a lot of, I think, I always say there's inside the family talk and there's outside the family talk, but I feel like the conflict that Mimi's seeing there is, it should be inside the family talk. We're all on the same page when it comes to creating engaging experiences for students. And the way in which we do that may differ between us to some extent, but it's kind of like inside the family arguments a little bit, or at least I would hope it is in that sense. But we had, Marianne, I had one gentleman over here that wanted to go first.
Yeah, so I consider myself an educator. I taught karate and martial arts for 6 years. I designed most of the original curriculum for Kodu and ran a bunch of camps, and now I'm doing my research at UW on Minecraft. As a student, I, want, of course, to lead my own education to a point, and as a teacher, I also, want to lead my students' education to a point. But I think we really also have to think about, Minecraft in what it is as a game. I feel almost as if teachers are leading this discussion and leading, I guess, this classroom mentality, then Minecraft becomes a tool. Minecraft becomes something that teachers are using in a classroom to teach their kids. It's a tool in every sense of the word. However, I think that if students are leading their own discussion, then it's a game. I feel that if students are leading their own education through Minecraft, exploring their own avenues, and then in all sense it's a game, and that's kind of why Minecraft has thrived, why the Minecraft community is thriving, because people who treat it like a game continue building on that game, and it's a really successful game. So I think you really have to think about what's your goal, what's your end game goal. Minecraft obviously isn't going to be around forever. 15 years from now it'll be like, hey, that antique game Minecraft. But you have to think, 1 year from now, where do you want to see Minecraft? Do you want it to be an integral part in the classroom? Do you want it to still be a really successful game? And then 4 years from now, you have to see what are the effects of Minecraft going to be. Is it going to be a game that opened up the door for other games to become integral parts of the classroom, or is it going to be a game that's still successful, that people are still using and, I guess, using in the classroom to teach each other stuff? So I think everybody has their own opinion on kind of where Minecraft goes or how their teaching style goes. But I think we just have to focus on the end result. What's going to come out of all of this? How are students going to learn? How are teachers going to learn? And, I think everything is growth. So, nothing is necessarily negative.
Hi, I want to know who you are. Brilliant. Really great comment because, and I think, Lucas, what you were saying, I think you do sit in the middle of that whole conversation. But the important thing is it is a spectrum. And it's not, I think sometimes it gets contentious because we're, all trying to figure it out and carve out a little niche for ourselves. And I've been on this thread with Twitter for the last hour about, everybody should use Minecraft EDU. And the thing is, it's like, why do you care if I want choice? If it is a game. At the end of the day, it is a game. And it's about having that whole spectrum available to us. And I play other games, and not everybody goes to the same affinity space. And I don't even go to the same affinity space. It depends on what my interest in any game is at a particular time. And so I think this is a wonderful space for us to all, it's so diverse in here, is to say there's room for all of that because Minecraft is the tool, is the game it is because it is so diverse. And it is all about choice. And maybe we can take that cue as educators going forward and saying, yeah, there's going to be educators who have to, at the end of the day, do their Common Core and do the assessment needs. And then there are teachers on the other spectrum who are free range and just looking at it purely for the learning and where that takes us. And so the question is, how do we make that democratic space for all those points of view so that we can all learn? Because I'm learning a lot from a lot of you today, and you said it so eloquently about how we go forward with this, and not just Minecraft, but there's going to be other games and tools that will help us shift those traditional, that traditional narrative education to something else. And isn't that really what we want? And we talk about all of that, but we're not talking about the curriculum that we still hold that's 100+ years old in the age of Google. So, you know, I'm looking forward to maybe Minecraft bringing up some of those questions. Really, what is the learning that is the most valuable to prepare our kids for the world that they're living in? Is it the stuff that they're doing in gaming, in school, outside of school, or is it going to those individual subject classes and learning that book and that math equation? So.
Is that what you were hoping for, Mimi? It's not as contentious as a DPS argument in a WoW forum, you know, but we could get there in a little bit. We need to wrap up in the next 15 minutes. And I've asked our panel to come up with kind of a lightning set of just grand ideas. If they could do anything to Minecraft, Bucket, servers, the whole experience for either Minecraft, we do call them Minecraft players. So maybe we should say these are we could call them teacher crafters. So, all right, but I've asked them to say if you could do one thing to Minecraft, the servers, the whole experience from teachers, from not even hearing about it to using it for an educational purpose inside or outside of classrooms, what would you do if you had that magic wand and you could do any one thing to Minecraft? What would it be?
Have it be free.
I'd like to agree with that. One of the biggest concerns that faces any school who's wanting to pick up this concept of using a tool like Minecraft is the cost associated with it, and that often is the largest barrier that we face, especially when we want to ensure that we have equity in our schools, to ensure that every student has an opportunity to succeed and the opportunity to immerse in that space. So for us, that's a big concern when we've got to pay, you know, for servers or for support or for clients. All those things come into it, and at the end of the day it does become a dollar issue. And I just feel that that's one of the things we need to address, is that ability to make this something that's more achievable if educators want to use it, not feeling that they have to. The other thing I'd like to add on top of that is that I would really love to see more partnerships. I'd love to see more mentorships going on. One of the things that I've really valued out of my experience with it is seeing some really top-end students, some students who are really, really intelligent, students who wouldn't have had the opportunities that they've suddenly had without this opportunity that's come about because of their own direction in learning. One of those students has created our Minecraft launcher that we use within our school to get through our firewalls. He's done that in his school holidays. He was in grade 8 at the time. He realised that the only opportunity was to use a Proxifier that was already in existence that actually had a cost. We worked with him and we contacted Proxifier, and they offer that to us at half price. Still, that's about $20 Australian per machine. But that child was coding for a purpose. That child was developing a tool that we could use in our classroom every day that empowers our learning. And that's something that's really important. And mentors for those students is paramount, for them to be able to connect with people out in the real world who are working in the space is something that needs to be more accessible. Another student of mine, and I feel like I'm holding the floor here, another student of mine, sorry, Sean, he's an incredible young man, and he thinks deeply about learning, and he understands the whole learning processes that have gone on in our classroom, and he's taken what we do in our classroom into a space in our community in Launceston, which is a city of 100,000 people, and he runs Minecraft camps in the holidays with the support of our local museum and an innovation hub. And he has mentors in that innovation hub who are supporting him in his future direction as a young person becoming an adult. So that's something that I see that's invaluable, is gaining access to mentors in the community, whether it be in online spaces or face-to-face.
Well, I guess I have a slightly privileged position in that if I want to change something about Minecraft, I make my own version, so I can. But, you know, almost none of the things I change are the game itself. You know, who am I to suggest what, you know, something that's going to change the core experience of what Minecraft is. So I always lean to what are the things that are going to make it easier for schools, for libraries, for home educators, for, you know, meetup groups, what have you, to use it. And I think in that process, there ends up being fracturing. You saw it with, you know, the bucket versus the forge wars. And, you know, we're talking today about, you know, well, if you want the discount, you have to buy Minecraft EDU, and then you're locked into being a Minecraft EDU teacher, which is not actually true. You get the original game, you can use that too. So, you know, maybe the answer is that modding API that we've heard about for like 4 or 5 years, you know, maybe the answer is some other tool that helps bridge the gap. But, you know, just the more convergence we have of all these different tools to really let people, you know, just pick from the garden of what's out there and make their own Minecraft salad and play with that version.
So I'm going to touch back on something not necessarily specific to Minecraft as a software platform or tool or game, but really what I think Microsoft could bring to the table here, and that is helping us tell this story. And I think it's very important that we've seen a lot of examples of really powerful, awesome things that teachers are doing, powerful things that students are doing in this world, but I'm written off often as, oh, you're the crazy gamer guy, another label, right? I mean, you just do your games and education. That's all you talk about, which, you know, that is my passion, but people sometimes put me in a box because of that. And if we could bring, you know, get in front of the people who are the policymakers, the decision makers, the people who hold the purse strings, whatever, or if it were free, that'd be awesome too. Makes that easy. But the technology departments, so these are the barriers that I hear from people when I'm out doing PD. Well, oh, well, we can't get that through the firewall. You know, it's a game, it's blocked because of our filter or whatever. There's all these little artificial barriers, and if we were to be able to come up with a package and we could put it in front of technology directors or superintendents or whomever and say, look, this is what Minecraft is and this is how it's being used for learning, and really tell that story and tell it well, I think a lot of those barriers, some of those major barriers that we've been talking about today, would start to dissolve. I'm seeing that already in the discussion just about games. When my superintendent comes back from a superintendent's meeting or from the Department of Public Instruction and they're starting to talk about a badge or micro-credentialing or games or that sort of thing, that's encouraging to me. But we've got to keep pushing in that arena and get those and get that terminology out there and show how this is a viable thing for learning. And that's one of the ways that I think we'd really start to push this forward.
So I think in order for Minecraft itself to continue to be successful and also for it to be continually used in educational settings and in innovative ways is for it to continue as a game. And so I don't think I'm qualified to say what game features should be brought up next. I think that, you know, a focus should be making it a fun, engaging game first. And that will bring out really cool ways that we can use it in the classroom second. So that's my bit on Minecraft. In general, though, speaking from computer science, I think one thing that needs to happen, and it's starting to happen, but needs to happen as soon as possible, is computer science being recognized as a core subject, and teachers getting the support and the just permission to teach it during school hours, because that's going to drive the force of lots of these kinds of discussions, I think.
So there's a common channel for the whole group, and if we could extend that out to the panel out to the whole room, go ahead and throw in your ideas. It doesn't hurt. But join me for now in thanking our panel for being with us today.
And thanks to Sean for organizing and moderating. That's great. So I think before I let you escape to cookies, and I hear the veranda's nice, there's actually, I mean, despite the experience of this room, it's actually really nice outside. So, but before we do that, we wanted to give everybody the opportunity to suggest breakout groups, and I will start just because I've preceded one. It's actually Katie's group, but we're having a group of teens that are on their way here from school, and will be in a teen panel together with Julian and Katie. The three that are coming are actually going to be teen counselors in our summer Minecraft camp. So I just wanted to make sure that we also represented teen educators within this event. But Katie, do you want to say anything more about?
Sure. So I think that so I'll be asking these teen counselors some questions, but I think what I'd really like to structure the conversation around is mentoring around Minecraft, and particularly near-peer mentoring. So what is the power of getting teen counselors rather than only adult counselors? And it would be, I think, really interesting to hear these teens' experiences of Minecraft and how they learn Minecraft and how they mentor younger kids. And Julian is also going to be on this group as well, and he has a lot of experience in Minecraft and teaching and all of that. So I think it'll be a really good discussion, particularly since we haven't really talked that much about near-peer mentoring today, but I think it's really important and a really important part of the connected camps.
Anybody else have a session they want to organize?
I'm interested in unpacking some of the buzzwords. I think there have been a few terms that have come up, like Minecraft user and work development. There's other top buzzwords.
Tell me what to write.
Unpacking the buzzwords.
Okay.
I'd be really interested in being part of a breakout session on future research projects around Minecraft.
Like action research projects?
Oh, well, just where do we go next with researching Minecraft in the classroom?
Actually, this one is sticky.
Oh, it is?
Mimi alluded to this earlier, but I'd be really interested to get people's feedback on thoughts of different methodologies of teaching computer science, whether it's Scriptcraft, CompuCraft, Touch Develop, and just discuss that area.
Help me on that one too. Coding.
Coding in Minecraft.
Okay.
Just feel free to come and write your name if you want.
Cool.
Anybody else? Pretty good number, actually. We were thinking 1, 2, 3, 4. Anybody else have topics that they want to suggest for? Oh, yeah.
I'm happy to sort of have a chat about a teacher's perspective.
It's okay if I put perspectives.
Is that apostrophe after the S or before the S?
It's too much for one day.
Okay. Anyone else? Calling once, calling twice. Okay. So the process is going to be that there are stickies here. So write your name and put it in the session that you're interested in. And then when we come back from break, we'll assign spaces. If there's some that are undersubscribed, you can make a decision to merge at that point or not. But I think the number we actually have enough space to break out. So yeah, think about it, but make sure you vote with your sticky before we come back at 3:30.
Each year, Microsoft Research hosts hundreds of influential speakers from around the world, including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.